Like pixels on a screen, these are the games of our lives. Hello friends, welcome to episode 20 of the Games of Our Lives. My name's Chris. Joining me, as is his wont this week, Mike.
Oh, thanks. I didn't realize it was my choice.
Well, yes, you are an at-will employee of Fractruck Games Incorporated. You can terminate at any time, however, you will lose your benefits.
I was gonna say I have real questions about this 401k.
You're 100% vested in the $10 that I've made so far.
All right. I'll take the stock options, please.
Good choice. You're going to get points on the gross. So, Michael, video games, have you played any?
Yeah. I've been on the road a lot lately. So I've sort of rediscovered my 3DS, and I finally started a game I bought. Must have been at least a year ago, but Fire Emblem Awakening.
Yeah, it's a good game. It's probably the most accessible of all the Fire Emblems. Do you have Fire Emblem experience previous?
Yeah. I've played them on the Game Boy Advance and the DS. I don't know anything about like the original Japanese and what the translations were or anything, but I will say the first thing the game pops up and immediately offers you classic or casual.
Right. So what are you playing?
I went casual.
Okay. And normal or easy?
No shame, normal.
Okay.
But no, I was looking at it for a while and I kept going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and I realized I don't think I've ever beaten a Fire Emblem game. And I think one of the reasons is if you don't like balance your characters perfectly, you'll make one mistake and you'll lose like a key character.
Yeah.
Permadeath and criticals don't mix well together.
Right. So yeah, I have a casual normal playthrough that I'm basically doing to get through the story, which I'm up to the last mission. And then
nice.
I've started a couple of normal playthroughs and gotten maybe through 3 or 4 missions, been like, God, fuck, this is hard.
I know, I forgot how annoying it was, and going, I mean, forget you can't save in missions, and the permadeath is just I don't know if I can go back.
So what I'm realizing with the 2 sets of playthroughs that I have is that they give you so many characters that it is okay if you lose some.
That's true. Yeah, no, they're definitely, and some of the classes are just more fragile than the others.
Yeah, at least, yeah, in the beginning. And probably something that I've realized is like the best character in the game is extremely difficult to acquire on the normal. And the best character in the game is Donald.
Oh, I would say it must be you rescue the villager.
Yeah, the villager is the best character in the game.
He levels up insanely quickly, and he is now by far my best character as well.
Yeah, no, because his special trait is that he can get bonus stats. Every time he levels up, he gets bonus stats.
Yeah, so basically, to get him though, it's a side mission. It's very obvious how you get him.
Oh yeah, you just have to level him up once in the mission that you find him in. Right,
but it is it's very difficult to do, and keep him alive, which you'd have to do on normal. But I mean, obviously, if you played any other Fire Emblem game, it's very good. It's the same game. I don't know if that's overstepping my bounds here.
No, it is.
The other kind of fun thing about it is I looked up. I was hitting a class change, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna look at the wiki to see what the different classes do. And there is so much complexity, and this is basically like Pokemon meets Fire Emblem, because you can basically breed your characters.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. No, you literally actually breed them together.
Yeah, no. So you do it sort of in the course of normal gameplay, or you can just sort of make it happen. But it's different depending who's the father versus who's the mother. They inherit different traits. And people, of course, spend, I imagine, hundreds of hours min-maxing.
So you've once again discovered a game which heavily focuses on eugenics.
It seems to be my want.
So, I mean, in the history of this show, and eventually I'm gonna have to do a supercut. Every game that you've played where we've talked about eugenics.
That's true. Every game where I've tried to create the Ubermensch.
Yeah, that's seriously.
I will say the first time it happened, it was like a happy accident. I didn't really realize what was happening.
Yeah, you accidentally created the Ubermensch.
No, I was like, oh, what's going on? And then, I mean, this is minor story spoilers, but there's a little bit of a time travel in here, which is why you can breed children and have them in the playthrough.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, what a pleasant coincidence. And I realized, like, oh, wait a minute, that's the relationship thing. Once it hits a certain level, they're just instantly like, hey, let's get hitched, and then their kid appears.
Vroom. Yeah.
It's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, it's like, oh, they just got married. New mission appears on the map.
Yeah, pretty much. And I will say the DLC stuff and the Street Pass stuff, I've seen what other people have done with their parties.
Yeah.
And they have put these hundreds of hours into it.
There are some really ridiculous groups like armies out there.
Yeah, but you know what? If I'm trying to think, if you're looking for your tactics fix, maybe still holding out hope for that Advance Wars coming out and haven't played this game for some reason, it's worth it.
It's probably the best Fire Emblem game, like all round.
Yeah, no, I mean there's voice acting, there's a speed up button, or you can just skip the animations completely.
Yeah, there's a censored bikini butt.
Of course,
in the American version.
Oh man, which one? Jokes on you, all of them.
It's the DLC. It's in the Beach DLC.
Oh, see, I did not even approach the Beach DLC. There you go.
Yeah.
If this game is not Japanese enough for you, do they go to a hot spring, I assume?
Yes, I think. And
right.
one of the classes from the DLC is the Bride class.
I did see that on the wiki because I was looking at all different classes. But I gotta be careful. There's a lot of spoiler stuff on the wiki. I don't recommend
it. Well, yeah, duh. Okay.
How about you, Chris? What have you been up to?
So we've been you're talking about Atlas Games, that Fire Emblem tick. I've been playing Shin Megami Tensei 4 for the 3-dimensional S.
Okay, and this is one you've played before, I believe?
No, I've actually never played a Shin Megami Tensei game. The Persona games are a spin-off of SMT, which I've played before, but SMT proper is a completely different beast.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have a feeling I've asked you this before.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the game, the combat is very similar. You are a person who controls summons essentially, and you collect summons and fuse them to make more powerful summons, and you're going through the story with these characters. What makes SMT unique is that it is also brutally difficult, even for a turn-based game. Like, it's not even a tactics game because there's no battlefield strategy. It is a straight-up Final Fantasy style turn-based game that it just doesn't give a fuck about how you feel.
So is it I guess, are the save points spread out, or is it like you enter every battle at full health and just do whatever, or what?
Yes. I mean, you are highly incentivized to get, to exploit weaknesses, be topped off before you go into a battle, and to have the right protections against the enemy's attacks, because they'll knock you out in one sweep. I mean, I game overed twice in the tutorial.
Wow.
And now because it is a brutally difficult game, there is now actual game over mechanic. You're presented with the ability to spend money or play coins to revive yourself. Now, you will eventually accrue enough debt to where you can't, and I imagine at some point there will be a true game over, but it is a punishing game, and it seems kind of unfair, but you have to realize that the enemies in this game obey the same rules as the players. You can dish out as much as you take if you exploit the weaknesses correctly.
Okay, so I guess that's sort of the same thing here about Dark Souls.
Yeah, I mean, Dark Souls is more of an action game where it's about timing and patience, whereas this is more about knowledge. So, the demons, the characters that you summon and fight, they all have strengths and weaknesses, and if you exploit one of their weaknesses, an elemental weakness rather, it doesn't necessarily do more damage, but it means you get an extra turn before the enemy gets to go. So if you have 4 characters and you exploit 4 weaknesses, you can even exploit the same weakness 4 times. You get 2 turns in one, essentially.
Okay.
And that is critical to surviving some of these battles.
So is this game is does the game want you to grind?
Yes, it does. But it so far I've not been in a position where I've needed to grind for very long. And there's certainly like areas in which you can do that easily. I mean, there's also a difficulty option. You can reduce the enemy difficulty. But the story is actually very interesting on top of it. It's you start out as in this what seemingly ancient Japanese sort of motif. But you get a magical item, something they consider magical. It's basically a cell phone. And as you progress through the game, you eventually realize that, well, the world isn't exactly when you go down an elevator and enter Tokyo, that the world isn't exactly what you think it is.
Neo Tokyo.
It's Neo Demon Tokyo EX plus Alpha dash
slash fashion simulator.
Right.
So I assume every game that takes place in Tokyo is also.
Right. It's a very bare bones thing. It's got fantastic art. The gameplay is difficult, but it is very satisfying. I'm enjoying it so far, and it's a good replacement for Monster Hunter, which I've pretty much stopped playing. So
that's good. I'm trying to think what was the last really difficult JRPG that I went through. What anything on the horizon you're looking forward to?
Well, I mean, now that we've talked about both Shin Megami Tensei and Fire Emblem, Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem is a game that is coming out next year.
Are you serious?
From Nintendo. Yeah. It appears, by my understanding, is that it is basically an SMT game with Fire Emblem characters as summonable demons, I believe.
Oh, I will. One quick thing about Fire Emblem. One of the major plot points is spoiled if you have played Smash Brothers, the new Smash Brothers.
Oh, yeah. No, definitely.
Half the characters in Fire Emblem are now in Smash Brothers.
Well, the one that really matters. The one that I like the most.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Someone shows up with a mask, and you're like,
girl.
Who is this? And then you're like, I know exactly who this is. So I unlocked her in Smash Brothers.
Yeah, Lucina Best Girl, 2015. Yeah. All time. So there are a couple games that I've found out about recently that are on Steam Early Access that I've sort of added to my, I'm going to pay attention to this list. Megasphere and what is the other one? Rogue something.
Skyrogue,
right. So these are two indie games. Skyrogue is, I would call it an Afterburner like.
Okay.
Both
so is it
in
like
gameplay and graphics. It's more like Tekken 1 style 3D graphics.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I understand what you mean.
And it looks really cool. It's like an air combat game. That has like research trees and objectives and a really neat art style. And it looks really amazing, and I'm going to be paying more attention to that as that goes through early access. Megasphere is a 2D action-y shooter game. I think it was called similar to the game Abuse, if you know what that is.
Abuse was that controversial kind of crappy looking game, right?
No, that was Hatred.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, it's a 2D game, 2D platformer where you control where your gun is aiming with the mouse or the controller. And the art style is this really glitch punk pixel art thing. It looks really amazing. So that I'm going to be paying attention to as well. That is also, both of these games are in early access on Steam. Megasphere is $15. Skyrogue is $10. And they look really amazing, so I'm going to be paying attention to those as we go along. Now, what about you, Michael? What do you got on your horizon?
Speaking of Horizon, I never understood Afterburner. I mean, I enjoyed it because you were a plane and you went pew pew, but like I just didn't
Yeah.
understand it. Like I could never tell you what would hit me and what wouldn't.
Okay.
All right. Now that I'm done with that, not too much new. I think in uh, less than probably a week from now, I think the Blood Bowl 2 comes out. If you're done with Madden, you dropped your $60 and are already bored of it, which I'm sure.
It just came out.
I know. But yeah, we don't need to reiterate the Madden $60 roster change here.
Right.
But I mean, Blood Bowl 2 looks fun. That's another tactical game, really kind of asymmetric, where you'll have just different teams being significantly better.
Are there eugenics in that?
Oh, I don't know. Hopefully, yes. One can only imagine.
So this is not like Mutant League football, right?
I want to say I've mentioned it before, but it's
Yeah, we have talked about it. I'm
yeah, I mean
trying to remember.
it's based off the tabletop game, so
Okay.
it's turn based. Basically, you move a character and you do an action on this grid on the field.
But it's football.
But it is football. Yeah, the goal is to get this spiked object into the opponent's end zone somehow.
Okay.
Generally, you can try passing, but that's almost always a miserable exercise in futility.
Are you playing against other people or computer?
There is you can do both. There is PvP. You can actually do like a league, like a full season where you have people online can join a league. It's fun. It's a difficult game because of your characters will get gruesomely injured. And I could never afford to replace my characters as quickly as they would get hurt. But any news? Anything in the news?
None of this is all recent stuff, but Star Citizen has been in the news kind of recently.
I'm pretty sure we're talking about 2-year-old 3DS games here. This isn't the most topical of podcasts.
Yes, but it's sort of all coming to a head. So the long nightmare of money that is Star Citizen, which is now up to like $85 million in crowdfunding, is gotten some flack from some very vocal users over the last couple of months, and it's come to a head in the form of a guy named Derek Smart, who is suing the makers of Star Citizen for false advertising and a bevy of other things related to their crowdfunding campaign for the game.
So wait, isn't Derek Smart? Isn't he a game developer?
Yes, he has made games in the past. I don't know if he's working on anything currently, but he has made very much Star Citizen-like games in the past. But yeah, he has a very long, lengthy post on his personal blog that I'll link in the description of this episode, wherein he outlines all of his problems with Cloud Imperium and the crowdfunding campaign, and why he wants them to give refunds, and is eventually has started the legal action to sue them. Yeah. So to start from the beginning, he is one of the very early backers of the game. So he gave them $250 back in 2012 to their Kickstarter. It's 3 years later now. Obviously, there are playable chunks of the game out, but it has grown into this ridiculous miasma of promises and hopes and dreams, of which I am part of. I mean, I've given money to them, and I've not really kept up with it because I'm just waiting for the game to come out, and I don't really care. That money's gone. I don't care. But he's sort of taken it personally that the game has come out, that there's been all this feature creep, and that they're essentially running a scam, is what he alleges in his posts. And the company making the game, Cloud Imperium, has come out and said, yeah, we gave him a refund, because they did give him a refund of his money and basically closed his account last month. They did that not because they felt that he deserved a refund, but because he was a negative influence on the community and they just wanted him out. And sort of their whole policy is, yes, we will give refunds to people we feel are negative influences on the community, people we do not want. We do not want these people to have our game, so we're going to give them their money back, essentially.
You heard it here first, folks. Squeaky wheels get grease.
Yeah, they get greased the fuck out of the system, which I get it.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised. Like I have not read the Kickstarter terms and conditions.
Well, they're way beyond Kickstarter now.
That's true, but if
they
the
have
money,
their own system.
I mean, if I understand that, but I'm saying like if the money was first obligated under Kickstarter, I mean, there are loads of failed Kickstarters that just turned out to be scams.
Well, there's one big one, the Doom that came to Atlantic City, which has actually been like legal action by the FTC has been taken against the creators of that because they did not do anything of what they said they were going to do with the money. Yeah, there have been plenty of failed Kickstarters, but I think most of them have been on the up and up. They just didn't budget their money well, or they asked for too little or too much, and they didn't know what to do with it. Plenty of big Kickstarters have failed that way, but I think here they're no longer delivering. I can definitely say that they are no longer delivering the original vision of the game, which they crowdfunded for back in 2012.
So that's kind of interesting. I mean, if you're throwing in a couple bucks thinking you're getting a real straightforward game,
yeah,
it is basically turns into a massive MMO conglomerate monster project.
Yeah, and I think that the majority of people have been excited about the things that they've added to the game, the things that they're announcing, the things they're planning to do. I myself, one of them. But, I mean, at some point, they have to actually do all of the things that they're saying they're going to do.
Right, and there has to be a little bit of caveat emptor. I mean, I've certainly been disappointed by games I've kickstarted.
Oh, yeah.
I don't learn my lesson, and I have kickstarted other games and bought other games in early access.
Yeah, the thing about Kickstarter is that, when you give money to them, Kickstarters wash their hands of you and the people as soon as the campaign ends. They're no longer involved, really.
Right.
And I think, Mr. Smart's, like, you can't deny that he's allowed to have that opinion about CIG and the game itself. But I don't know that his legal campaign is actually going to go anywhere because, like it or not, all of these terms of services and stuff, their CIG is pretty well protected.
Yeah,
so.
I mean they're there for a reason.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, I'd love for the game to come out, but I'd rather it come out and be good. So I mean, take as long as you need.
All right, it'll be out when it's done.
Yeah, and they just released a huge content patch. I'm going to be taking a look at it, hopefully later today, whenever it downloads. It's the whole thing is 30 gigabytes, and there's barely anything in it. It's so it's not optimized at all. There's no compression or anything in the stuff. So, I mean, like if you just look at the feature list and not anything else, the game does seem impossible. But I mean, they believe in it, and I'm just sort of waiting for it to come out. Yeah, so that has all sort of come to a head in the last month or so. As I said, I'll link his brief, or rather his lengthy post into his reasonings for the legal action in the description below. Yeah, so I think that's going to do it for us this week. And I think that's going to do it for this weekly schedule that we have going on here. So far we missed a couple weeks here and there, but we've been putting this out every week. And speaking for myself, it's kind of tough to try to play enough I don't think Mike and I consume video games as voraciously as to talk about new stuff every week.
Yeah, having jobs suck, people.
Yeah, right. So I think what we're going to be doing going forward is moving to a twice monthly schedule, as our personal schedules allow. So the next episode is probably going to be in 2 weeks or so, hopefully. depending on everyone's availability. But yeah, I think that will allow us to talk in more depth about the games we play and the stuff that we're looking forward to, rather than scrambling to I played something on my phone this week. Yeah, less of that and more talking in depth about the things we're playing and the things we're looking forward to, and give us more time to accumulate things to talk about, essentially.
That sounds good to me, Chris.
Yeah, and so thanks you for listening. We will be back in 2 weeks with a new episode. Don't forget to spread us around. It's the only other way that we can reach a wider audience. And thanks for listening again. I'll say it for a third time, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. The courts can't tell somebody to make a game, but they can, say
what if
that.
they could, Chris? What if they could?
Then we would live in a nightmare dystopian future where YouTube commenters have all the power.
Oh no, we'd all be filing amicus briefs for for Half-Life 3 all the time.
It would be a literal nightmare.
Look, I want Gabe Newell in front of the Supreme Court telling me why he's not making Half-Life 3, alright? Is that too much to ask?
United States versus Gaben.
I would say Citizens United for Half-Life 3.